Yeah, CBB's like $1 million.
CBB's $1 million.
He means big as in
CBB,
he means big as in contentious, which is what he wants
Yeah.
to write about.
CB,
started here for some appropriations. Kyle?
Hey, hello everyone, welcome. If you hadn't tuned in yesterday, just a couple house rules. We're trying to keep it to 10 minutes. So we did pretty good yesterday with, actually we're really on time. So I don't know if that adjusts anything the way you present or not. I think it was communicated before. So feel free to do that. For our council that's new, basically you guys have done this a lot more than they have. So just kind of explain who you are, what you do, and how you guys are going to use the money that you're requesting from us. And at the end of your presentation, they may or may not have some questions for you with that. So without further ado, Miss Davis with the Decatur Youth Symphony, the floor is yours. You got it.
Over here again this time. Stand over here again this
Yeah,
time.
there's a mic
Okay.
there for our, we're streaming for
Okay.
everyone to watch. So
Okay, well,
thank
good.
you.
Well, good. Well, y'all get to start out with the fun group this morning, the music group. So I'm Emily Davis. I'm the executive director for the Decatur Youth Symphony. So I've met some of you already this year, but just to give you a very short history of Decatur Youth Symphony, it was actually kind of a passion project of Stan Belsky, who has since moved out of Decatur, but he was a businessman here in Decatur, and Mayor Lynn Fowler. So they had a dream of starting a youth symphony program here in Decatur that would reach Decatur's youth, and in particular really be something that would be an outreach and hopefully build and foster a love for music and a love for the arts in Decatur. And it started off with about 18 students in 2003. And the year before COVID hit, we were right around 325 students. So in addition to the orchestra program that they began, Mr. Belsky also had a desire to see a percussion program begin. So how this relates to the city of Decatur, once upon a time we were a department of Parks and Rec, and our funding that we had for the program came from the city of Decatur, and that's how we've stayed within the city, and eventually we became under the appropriation projects. I believe last year we were in, someone can correct me, I may say this wrong, we were under the school tax?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
the sales tax. So anyway, we've really had a passion all these years to really give back to Decatur and try to come up with new programs. So just a little bit of our demographics. Our orchestra program runs right around 100 students. The top orchestra costs $100 a year. So those of you who have students who have kids that are in programs, you know what a deal that is. The Huntsville Youth Orchestra is right around 400, somewhere around there. And we're not competitive with them. We do our own thing. So, and then the percussion program we have started off as a partnership with Decatur Youth Services. So we share a percussion program with them. And this past year, even with COVID, we were able to participate in their Black History Month program, which was fantastic. And since then, we've grown that program. We are in Boys and Girls Club. We're in another partner group with Kids, Tweens, and Teens Enrichment. And we also do classes for the Developmental Center for Decatur High School. And that's an area where we hope to see some growth over the next year or so. We're hoping to expand out into some more of the developmental centers in the Decatur area. So a couple of new initiatives that we started last year. One was the percussion with the police. And I actually talked with the city council about that last year. And I said we were going to do it. And we managed to do it one time because, you know, I talked with Chief Allen and they were very protective of their officers getting out and around. They didn't want to have a COVID outbreak. But what we did is Sergeant Jones came to one of our classes and he talked to the students about leadership and, you know, he talked to them about some of his dreams he had. He's a writer. And then he actually sat down with the kids in a drum circle and they taught him how to drum. And it was so much fun because he was nervous as anything, sitting down there to drum because he had not done that before. So it was really fun and we hope to do that more this upcoming year. And we also started a STEAM lab and actually brought let y'all slide this around and see what fun this looks like. So this past year, we came up with a project, the ukulele building project, as a STEAM lab, because we know that building and hands-on working and all of that is so key to what our Decatur community does. And we wanted to give the kids a chance to do something like that, but also tie it in with music. So the kids get these ukulele kits, and they get to put them together and paint them. And last year, well, no, I guess it was in the spring, we've probably put together about 200 ukuleles so far. And we're starting our string camp today, so we'll do another 25 this week. So, you know, you multiply that times 4 strings, and it's a lot of ukuleles to string. But the kids love it, and at the end, they've actually done everything. They've built it, they've glued it together, they see how the process works for the instrument, and then they have a ukulele that they get to take home. And that's something we've been able to provide this year with our city funding and some of our other partner funding. So that's a little bit about what we've done this past year. This next year, we have an exciting event coming up. We're going to be partnering with Etowah Youth Orchestra in Gadsden. So they're going to bring their orchestra up here in January. So that's going to be about 40 kids plus adults that'll be coming up to Decatur for an all-day orchestra event, and then the next day we'll go down to Gadsden and we'll do the same event there in their town. So we've just been trying to think of ways that we can, you know, still give back to Decatur, still offer the same programming, and increase our community exposure, and, you know, bring people into the community that wouldn't normally come to Decatur. So that, and we did Make Music Day, which was a partnership with City of Decatur Parks and Rec, and that's just a big day of music activities and festivals and all that. So this was our first year. I think we kind of started it off well, and next year hopefully it'll be even bigger. So that's a little bit about what we did this past year, even with COVID. We had our in-person concerts, and we're just excited. We'll be back in the schools this coming year, hopefully back up and going just as normal. So the last little piece I'll give you, out of our student body, 65% of our students are outreach or minorities, so that means those students are getting their instrument, instruction, everything at no cost to them. So when you think about even the cost of a drum or a violin, guitar, whatever it may be, we're able to provide that, and we're already seeing success with those students continuing on. This past year, we've got 2 students, one from our Decatur Youth Services percussion that's going to be studying at Calhoun in the music tech degree, and another student that's going on as a music major. But really what we're seeing is that even if they don't stay with DYS, they go into band. They are performing higher academically. And if nothing else, they'll just know that they had a really fantastic arts experience with Decatur Youth Symphony, and it's something I hope the city of Decatur's proud of. That's it.
We are.
Any questions?
We are proud.
Okay.
Thank you.
A great program. I know I'm in Kiwanis with Kyle, and we're obviously because of Mayor Fowler. My other question is, how many times a week does Mayor Fowler call you?
Well, that, yes,
Should you have
and
done that today?
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Well, you know,
He is very passionate about this program.
he is, and you know, every time you see him, he's got another idea, and they're always good ideas.
Yeah.
And you better follow up with them.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
better look into it.
So,
Well, thank you. I don't, any other
I don't
questions?
have any questions.
That's great.
Okay.
What's
Great
your
program.
total budget? Did you mention it? I missed it.
our total budget is right around $130,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
And he made me play the back.
Oh, yes.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I was
so-
trying to keep it.
Someone's gonna put
like
this
fun.
together.
I could put it together, but probably not play it.
I can actually play.
What?
All right.
You can do what? Pause the meeting.
I know 3 chords on a ukulele.
I don't believe it.
GDC, you go a long way.
Chamber, you're up.
Did y'all bring a ukulele or anything?
No, but we'll remember that for next year.
Yeah.
We've got cakes and bags and masks, and somebody brought a puppy.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Thank you.
Crystal, you're back to back, so if you wanna just take your 20-minute allotted time to talk about
Okay.
both things.
All right,
feel free.
very good. Yeah, like I did just now. That would be ugly. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Well, good morning. I'm Tim Lovelace, and I know all of you, I think. When I am no longer on the chamber board, but when I signed on to do the partnership, it was a 5-year deal. And so I had agreed to be involved for 5 years. And so the reason I come back each year is to bring a progress report and update everyone on the work we're doing, because I feel like it's important. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to go through an outline here of some of what we do that gives a lot of detail, because I think it's important, because the chamber is involved in so many programs. So I'm going to go through that real quick, and then I'm going to just give a couple of personal examples of some ways I've seen the chamber impact the community. 3 years ago, we came to you and asked you to make a 5-year commitment to our plan. You have a copy in front of you. The plan focuses on 4 areas of need in our city: talent development and recruitment, partnership with business, community, and our schools, community image, branding and regional cooperation, and business and residential development. This past year has been a time of great opportunities and great challenges in our community and across the country. Decatur has weathered the global pandemic because of a diverse local economy, a strong small business sector, and a community that understands coming together and working on our challenges. These characteristics provide a path where everyone can succeed. As you know, we have 2 10-minute slots to present our request, as well as our request for our business development and recruitment collaboration. If it's all right with the council, we would like to continue seamlessly into our second 10-minute slot and leave time at the end for questions on both presentations. In the area of talent development, we collaborated with area partner Calhoun Community College in February to present a virtual version of the annual Career and Workforce Expo, where more than 800 area juniors and seniors connected with employers to learn about career opportunities and available fields following their graduation. The Chamber and Calhoun Community College also partnered to host the in-person Summer Welding and Electrical Technology, or SWEETie Camp, for high school girls, providing exposure to non-traditional careers in welding and electrical trades as a future. This initiative will be expanded in 2022. The Workforce Coalition Committee is working with industries that can provide on-the-job training for lightly skilled workers to help them train for open positions with local area industries. The committee is working with CTE, that's Career Technical Education Directors, with the school systems on implementing U-Science, a program to help high school students determine aptitude versus interest for 135 career pathways. While not able to gather in 2020, the Chamber's Equipped Student Leadership Program for 8th graders across Morgan County will restart during the upcoming 21-22 school year. More than 40 students will learn about career opportunities and job skills to help plan for their futures in the fall and spring semester sessions. Additional partnerships focusing on cybersecurity and aerospace program are being developed with Calhoun to ensure a talented and sustainable pipeline of employees for our future workforce. We continue the very successful EDGE Student Leadership Program, which has graduated more than 1,150 high school sophomores and juniors during its 28-year history. The program has more than 100 applicants, 6 of the last 7 years. More than 2,500 8th graders from across North Alabama will attend the 2021 in-person, hands-on, Endless Opportunities event in October. The annual experience connects students with career fields and subject matter experts to help discern their interest and aptitude for their post-high school future. The Chamber continues to invest in and advocate for quality pre-K opportunities for Decatur. In collaboration with Representative Terry Collins, the Chamber's Quality Education Committee has secured more than 30 new pre-K classrooms in Morgan County over the past 6 years and will continue to seek more support from the state of Alabama to establish more area classrooms in the future. as notated in our 2021 public policy agenda. We continue to be active in community imaging and regional partnerships. The Chamber recently created a partnership with a newly established Director of Communications with Decatur City Schools to help tell the story of our city school system. We also have volunteers and staff serving on numerous boards, such as the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Team, the Decatur MPO Technical Advisory Committee, and several rows of leadership on the Launch 2035 Committee, a three-county regional partnership that continues to rethink our region's economy for the next decade, plus, while focusing on three major areas: workforce development, entrepreneurship, and land use. The Chamber is one of the founding partners of Launch 2035. And finally, business and residential development. The Chamber has worked with developers, city officials, and members of the Planning and Zoning Commissions to advocate for new residential projects representing 8 developments and more than 450 new rooftops in the city of Decatur. More in the works to add to our city's overwhelming need for housing inventory and boost residential growth. These new rooftops represent a wide range of price points, styles of housing, and are being constructed in all areas of our city. The Chamber's Residential Development Task Team continues to lead the partnership with consultant Volker to develop the 6th Avenue Streetscape Plan for the city, a major output of the One Decatur Comprehensive Plan. The Chamber hosted meetings with stakeholders, coordinated with ALDOT, led the effort to gather community input via the web due to the inability to gather, and advocated for the project funding and council approval based on feedback from developers and citizens. During the pandemic, the Chamber served as a one-stop shop resource to small businesses and industry partners with resources to assist with grants, loans, training opportunities, and reopening guidelines by way of social media platforms, electronic newsletters, media partnership with the Chamber's COVID-19 business resource page on the Chamber website. The Chamber also provided information on public health efforts to keep people safe, remote work resources for those working from home, and launched Curbside Decatur to support our small business and restaurant community, to promote shopping and eating local as always. The Chamber's Shop Small, Shop Local giveaway steered foot traffic to our brick and mortar retailers during a critical part of the year and distributed gift cards to drawing winners who shop local during the holiday. In partnership with the city and the East Center, the Chamber helped promote and administer the Small Business Loan Grant Assistance Program, providing funds to small businesses during the pandemic recovery to help sustain their staffing levels and help bridge revenue gaps towards payroll, insurance, and other administrative small business expenses. Throughout the pandemic, now Chamber President and CEO Crystal Brown served as a volunteer liaison on behalf of the city for 10 months and worked with developers during the search for the city's new Director of Development. In late 2020, in the interest of continuing to provide programming to our community, the Chamber pivoted and invested in virtual event production with 2 small business members to hold socially distant online editions of the annual State of the Healthcare Forum, State of the County Address, State of the City Forum, and our annual meeting, where we developed an opportunity for virtual information to be shared in a safe environment. In May and June, the Chamber restarted in-person events at a rapid pace with limited capacity Small Business Award celebration gathering, where we celebrated 3 leaders who serve as model examples in our business community. The annual legislative update, where attendees heard critical information from our legislative delegation about economic recovery in our state following the pandemic. Breakfast and Biz Small Business event to discuss the future of workspaces in light of the lessons learned during remote working. And Emerging Leaders, where young professionals focused on volunteerism and how to give back to our community and support our neighbors. Despite the challenges of 2020, the Chamber continued to recruit and advocate for restaurants and retail businesses to stem tax leakage to other communities. Among the new projects are Freddy's Frozen Custards, Whataburger, Cookout, and the newly opened Aldi, and other projects in the pipeline that have yet to be announced. This work, along with our Shop Local campaigns, have contributed to approximately 10% increase in sales tax revenue over the past year. That's a long list of things the Chamber's involved in, and I wanted to make sure we got all those out there because a lot of those are in the 5-year plan. I also want to share a couple of just personal experiences from being, spending my whole work life pretty much in Decatur and how the chamber, I think, has impact. And I think coming out of COVID, we're in a critical time where I think the chamber is really going to lead us out of COVID. And the thing that we do, we talked about our gatherings here. And these gatherings are starting back now. And those are, the chamber does a great job of getting a lot of diverse parties in the room to talk about issues. And that helps us address a lot of things. But one of the most powerful things we do is these gatherings, whether it's for schools or other events where we get a lot of people together. I don't know of an organization that does that better. In my year as chamber chairman, I only got really bad butterflies once, speaking to groups, and it's when I had to get up at the Women in Business celebration. And I don't know how many people were in the room, but the DoubleTree was packed and it was standing room only. And getting up to see that group from all industries in Decatur and representing so many women that work in the business world, it was just phenomenal turnout. And when you see events like that and how the chamber brings us together, coming out of COVID, those personal connections, what I'm finding in the business world are so important. And I think the chamber is going to help drive a lot of what we do. The second thing I would share is the leadership development programs. I know at my company, a lot of our team have been through the Chamber Leadership Development Program. It is so valuable because so many of our future leaders get their first exposure to learning how to lead and learning how to interact with other leaders. And I've seen so many success stories. We had one young lady that went through to go on to become the Business Young Professional of the Year and now leads several boards. And so this kind of training and exposure to other leaders, you can't get that anywhere else. So that's an exciting part of what the chamber does that has just, I've seen, have impact. And thank you for your time. And now I'm going to turn it over to Crystal Brown.
Thank you, Tim. To be honest, 350 plus women in a room can be a little bit intimidating. So, yes.
That sounds like my house.
Yeah, and ours too, ask Murphy. So thank you, council, for your time today. Thank you, Tim, for sharing the chamber's initiatives as chair of our partnership. And I want to recognize we have our chairman of the board here with us today, Jeff Brown. So thank you, Jeff, for being with us today. You all have heard some of the many highlights from our past year where the chamber has had a most unusual year like everyone else you've heard from. We made the necessary adjustments and adapted to meet the needs of our growing community, and that's important to us to continue to do that. We hope that these highlights have also reflected how the chamber continues to work on quality of life issues for all sectors of our community. That's also important to us. We remain committed to the economic prosperity and growth of our community, working alongside you as a good partner. And we just appreciate the consideration of our appropriation request, and we're happy to answer any questions that you all have at this time.
Crystal, I just want to thank you for what you've done for this city, not only as in your new position, but kind of helping fill that gap with, development and everything that you've done. So I just, on behalf of the city, thank you for that.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I think one thing people miss is what Tim talked about. A lot of what the chamber does is about getting people engaged. You guys help businesses, obviously, what you did through COVID, but helping people like anyone can go and be part of these programs and just get engaged in what's going on. And we need more and more and more and more of that. So thank you guys for presenting. Anything else?
No, thank y'all for being here and the work you do. And Crystal, again, congratulations. We're
thank
glad
you.
to have you leading the chamber.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you know my appreciation. I don't know that half of the city. I think you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pleasure to serve.
A lot prettier than John, too.
Well, thank you. All right.
Thank y'all for coming.
All
think Sue's not till 9, so a little bit of break.
Ahead of schedule.
So, John. Oh,
You can't do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's got 2 slots too.
we'll wait. He's not. He's Sue's
She's gonna be
before
long.
John.
Hey,
so
we got a minute, I'm okay.
Hey, we got a minute.
don't be too far.
So,
Thanks for having us here today. I'm Sue Terrell. I'm director of and founder of Hands Across Decatur. Everybody make it okay in the downpour last night? No leaky roofs, and y'all get to work okay, and everybody was dry and warm and had a hot shower, all that good stuff. We don't consider that luxury. We consider that something that we're given. We're a very entitled society, and many people do not have that. Many people wake up and their roof is leaking. They have no food. They have no clothes. They have no anything. And the word homeless doesn't describe someone in total, no more than a skinny person, a fat person, a tall person, a short person, or vertically challenged, horizontally challenged. It doesn't make any difference if you're homeless or skinny or fat or old or young. That word does not define who you are. I like to call them unhoused or housed, but homeless is the word we all use right now. And you need to put a face to that word. So when you're thinking about homeless, you're seeing a person, not just a word. And if I could have any homeless people here right now stand up, if they wouldn't mind. If you've been homeless and have overcome that, if you could stand up, please. If anyone in your immediate family is homeless, could you please stand up? This is just a touch of Decatur. Multiply that by 10 or more. And that is our homeless community. They've all got a face, they have a personality, and the first thing they lose is dignity. You can all sit down, please. Thank you very much. Hope I didn't embarrass anybody, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's hard to overcome that. And one thing that we're asking at Hands Across Decatur is we're changing our name a little bit, Hands Across Decatur Path Forward Center. And with that, we're opening a community warming and cooling center for the community. That's really important to say that, because so many older people and younger people can't pay the heating bill or the cooling bill. And it gets so cold in the wintertime, everyone scrambles where these people go. Well, we're stepping up to say we're going to do it. So we're going to have a place in our Path Forward Center that people can go and get warm and get cool. We'll have food for them. We're not a shelter. I don't want to be a shelter. I don't want to be a soup kitchen either, but here we are. If it's needed, you have to do it. We don't have a fancy computer system. If I write thank you letters, it's all by hand. And some of our homeless or unhoused people write the thank you letters for me, and they address them for me. The pamphlets you have before you aren't fancy. We do them on our printer, and our unhoused people fold them for us. They're all volunteers. We have no one, we don't hire winter cooks. One of our unhoused people cooks for us every day. We don't have any maintenance people or people who clean. Our unhoused people volunteer for that every day. And the population is growing so bad right now that we're moving into a new building right behind us, 1027 Fifth Avenue. It's going to be 4,000 more square feet, so I'm ecstatic about that. Starting this in my living room back in 2012, I never wanted to or had dreamed it would get this big. And I think the need was there. I'd go back into the camps and get to know the people, and it was a need. So now we are open, and we house anybody, or we take care of anybody that comes in. We feed 180 to 250 people per month for clothes and food and computers. We have a library. A doctor comes once a month. We need glasses, and we need dentists, because many can't see without glasses. Anyone who's had a drug problem in the past, particularly meth, ruins your teeth, as everybody knows. When you overcome that problem, the meth teeth are still there. And no one wants to hire someone who has teeth like that to be in the public eye. We feed 15 to 50 hot meals 3 days a week. We give out over 100 sack lunches each day, 4 days a week. And now we feed the work release people for Decatur Parks and Recreation. 3 days a week, we feed 5 to 12 people on that crew too. We're open Saturday and Sunday now. We feed 10 to 25 people Saturday and Sunday. And again, we have 2 of our unhoused volunteers take care of that for us. And transportation is huge. We have no transportation. You see jobs everywhere. That's great, but how do you get there? In the packet, you'll see in the very back transportation that one of our people uses. It's a bicycle with a homemade wagon on the back. And that's where he carries everything, to his work, to his camp, and that's how he transports people, or himself rather. And to me, it's not acceptable, not in a town like this. We do have NARCOG, yes, $2 each way. They don't have that. Open Monday through Friday, make a reservation. Most of our people are hired second and third shift. Therefore, they can't get to work. One of our unhoused people got a job at 3M. His camp was over in this side of town, and he rode to work, I think for 5 days. He tried. He's 53 years old at that time. He got blown off his bicycle, injured very well. And he said, you know, at 53 years old, I can't ride from my camp over here over to 3M every day. I just can't do it. One of our people, the same person, David, I've known David, and it's okay with him, I've known David for 9 years. He's been a volunteer with us. He's on again and off again, homeless. You can sit. You can sit down. It's okay. Maybe 10 years, yeah. He's working full time at St. McGee's now. Full time. He pays taxes. He pays child support. But he still can't afford a place to live. He's still in the woods. Because you can't get your first and last month's rent, utilities on. You can go ahead and sit. Thank you. Because I've known David for many, many years. On again and off again, I know his story. I know many of the stories here. Everyone's a different story. Everyone's challenged. And with transportation, we will be able to get them to job interviews, get them, maybe not to work, because they need more volunteers for that. Right now, we are a staff of 6 full-time volunteers, and every single one of us is a volunteer. No one gets paid at all. We have Kenitha, my assistant director, and Melissa, and Brad, who's here someplace, and David and Joe. And 3 of us are unhoused. And they are there every single day. And Brad is our cook. He's a good cook, too. He's from New Orleans, so you can imagine the kind of food we get. But they volunteer every single day with us. And one thing that we need help with, too, is mental health care and medical care. Because you don't get that with the I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. With the community free clinic, you need an address, you need a utility receipt, you need taxes filed, and you have to have an income. 0 income does not qualify you for community free clinic. Therefore, they don't qualify for that. An address, first tree on the right, doesn't cut it. So we have to argue with that too as far as getting them care. We have people that need financial assistance with medication. We can't help with that right now. We don't have the finances for that. Emergency lodging. With our community women and cooling center open, we know there'll be people after that who need some place to go, because we're not going to be open 24/7. Then it becomes a shelter. That's not our goal. So we need help with that, providing people shelter. Salvation Army does fill up sometimes. Some people don't want to go to Salvation Army for their own purposes, their own reasons. So we do house people when we have the money. We rely on funds from our community, from churches. If there's not enough money, we chip in ourselves. Our volunteers chip in. That's how we get our money. We don't have any sustainable grants, sustainable income at all. And that's how we support our homeless and support our organization. We have 50% white males, 35% black males, 10% white women, 4% black, 1% Hispanic. And most are from Oregon County. We'll feed anyone who comes in. We predominantly do serve the homeless community because no one just serves them. But anyone who comes in, we will feed. And they know that I'm about tough love, don't you? I'm tough love, I don't do poor you. So they need to answer to me, we don't do poor you. It's if you're not working, why aren't you working? If you're in jail, what the heck were you thinking? You know, they get that from me and they all know it too. They don't get poor you. But I think they respect that because too many people give handouts and a lot of them do volunteer with us. And I can tell you right now that they've got hearts just like you and me. And their hearts are breaking right now. They have no lodging, they have no food, they have no medication. And many people think that when you're addicted, you become homeless. That's very, very true. But also sometimes we all have mental health conditions, underlying mental health conditions. With those, if we're like you and me, we have health care, roof over our head, we have food, a family, and a job. What brings out mental health conditions more than stress? What bigger stress than being homeless? So if you are homeless without insurance, sometimes if you can't get medication you need, you may turn to something else. You escape that reality just for a little while, but after a while that reality wears off and the real reality sets in. Therefore it becomes a vicious cycle. No insurance, no job, no family, no food, no tent over your head, no roof over your head. The cycle continues. Mental health in this area, as you know, is non-existent, pretty much. We need mental health because our people here are not invisible, they're not worthless, they're not hopeless, and they are not throwaway citizens. They're people like you and me, and they deserve to be treated like that. And not only them, it's our older community as well. Building the community warming and cooling center, we can help those who are less fortunate, but choose between buying medication, buying food, feeding their family, or putting a roof over their head. And so we try to help with that. We will try to help with that when we get open, for some place for them to go in the daytime. And with that, they'll be mentoring our homeless people, our unhoused people as well, and make friends from a different era. It's so important, because not being socialized, like many are not, it's hard to get employment. When you're living by yourself for so many years, am I going like this yet? Just let me know. Yeah. Yeah, but one thing we're asking for a $50,000 grant, and with that, we need to buy a reliable vehicle so we can transport our homeless, unhoused people to our doctor's appointments and also to housing appointments, and also to get jobs and medical care and dental care when we get that. We have 2 vehicles right now, they're each 20 years old. I think both are sitting in the parking lot. I'm not sure if they run or not. And also the community center, we're asking for $26,000 for that, because other than when the winter weather comes and churches and everybody goes, we have to find someplace, we're stepping up to say, we will do it, and it will be there when the time comes. So when that opens, we'll have more mouths to feed. We'll need furniture for that building, same building. We're going to get a dentist on board. And I think with everybody here, with everyone stepping up to help, our community has been wonderful. We rely on community, churches, and a couple of businesses, but that's how we're financed right now. We have no grants, no sustainable income whatsoever. So I'm asking you, City Council, to step up and help everybody in this town, because they are citizens. Many do work. They're unfortunate. They've taken wrong turns, some are divorced men who can't afford alimony, and also child support too. It's very difficult doing that, so we're in 2 places. And some are just moms, maybe that made a wrong turn. Some are like you and me who lost our jobs. So look at them, they are faces. They're not homeless, they're like you and me. They are not homeless, they're like you and me, everybody else. So if you could treat them like that and help us to do that as a city and come together, I think that would be huge for our community. And I thank you very much, and we'll any questions.
Thanks, Sue. Any questions?
So you talked a lot about the need, and I appreciate that and your passion for this. Do you have any specific programs that you'll be implementing with these funds if allocated?
Yes, sir. We are having computer classes. We have a library. They've asked for book study, GED classes. We're going to have a couple speakers, motivational speakers. And a lot of it, we need mental health. We have a social worker who's going to be on board when we get open. We're going to buy them what they need. It's not entitlement, it's what they need to get a job. So if they can't read, they can't fill out an application. If they can't hear, they can't work. If they have the bad teeth, they can't work. So that's a huge need right now. With the programs we'll have, Regions Bank has come and given us a program before on finances. And they've agreed to let them have a debit card with no monthly charge, which $8 a month is not a lot to you and me, but it's a lot to other people. It's an hour wage for a lot of people. That's a lot of the need right there. And we'll have programs also for health, how to take care of themselves, and socialize. A lot of it is back into society again, and learning what they've unlearned is the best way to put it.
Hey, Sue, so you said a GED program?
Yes, sir.
Who is putting on the GED program? Do you have a certain professor or teacher?
It'll be Calhoun. We'll be going to Calhoun, yeah. Once we get in the building, we're going to put that and implement that into the program. Right now, we're between 2 buildings. It's a mess right now. We're at still 1032 4th. We're going directly behind us to 1027. Moving is moving, no matter how far you move. And so we keep moving to the new building yet to get the certificate of occupancy. So we're working on 2 buildings at this time. Once we get in the new building, we'll have over 5,600 square feet to put programs and classrooms and private classrooms. We'll have a women's class. Many of our women have been abused. They're sexually abused, or maybe they've been abused by family members. They've become homeless because of that. So our private rooms for women to meet with a counselor. That's kind of our program will be, but GED will be Calhoun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave, you helped me and my 2 brothers move a really heavy desk one time. It's a long time ago.
How's your mom doing?
She's good. I was just about to talk about that. My mom has a program, I think you know.
Yeah, I know Robin real well.
And they have, it's a lot of what you talked about, transportation for jobs, and they're having to transport, 90-plus people to jobs, and it is tough. I know you were talking about kind of the branding type name change for your program, your
Yes.
Path Forward, which I'm assuming Path Forward is to get people to be housed.
Yes,
house
sir.
people to be housed, and kind of how successful is that? I know it's a tough issue. I know the population. I've seen your talk about how it's growing, and how do we kind of have more people become housed and less kind of that growing unhoused population?
Right now in Decatur, there's nowhere for them to go. Rent is real high. If they can't afford, you need 2 months rent and down payment for utilities, which can be $2,000 at times, even if they split it. That's more than a lot of them make a month. If you go to McDonald's or Burger King, $8 an hour, $10 an hour, you can't support yourself on that. And they make sure they don't work 40 hours, that way they don't give you benefits. But as far as housing goes, we've had a problem with, we had one instance, for example, that they went into slumlords. Slumlords rule because there's no application involved. Live above garages, no electric, no water, but it's a roof. And they'll charge them $5.50 a month. The slumlords rule because there's nowhere else for them to go. If you have a felony within 7 years, you can't get an apartment. If you had an eviction within 3 or 4 years, you can't get an apartment in a regular apartment complex. And many have had evictions through no fault of their own and some with fault of their own. So they're kind of stuck in that way. And we need more affordable housing. East Acres is a waiting list. Hartsville's a waiting list. There's more jobs in Decatur. If they live in Hartsville, how they get to Decatur. So it's a huge issue all around. I think with transportation and more volunteers, which we can have in the new building, we could have volunteers drive them maybe 5 different corners in Decatur, maybe Church and 6 and 67, and have like bus stops. Not just for our homeless people or unhoused people, anybody in poverty that wants to work and they can't get a job. Tons of jobs out there, and they have to stay over on 6th Avenue area. That's where we are, and they can get help with us. Pastor Coomer's there, he feeds them. The Salvation Army is there. That's where they have to congregate. But to go to 3M or go to ULA or anything out in that area there, you can't get there. So like you and me, we can drive there if you want to. The picture I've showed you there is typically of what they'll drive, a bicycle with a homemade cart behind it. And when they leave their camp, they'll take everything of value with them. So housing is very difficult right now. I think they'll agree with that because you need 2 people who get along, who share an apartment. If you've been living by yourself for so long, who do you get along with? It's very, very difficult. So the whole housing process is difficult, as is in Huntsville and anywhere else in the country. And a lot of people don't think we have the homeless problem here, unhoused problem here. Look around the country and you'll see San Francisco is horrible, San Diego is out of this world. But we're gonna be that way if we don't step up and do something. It is getting worse. We're getting people from Nashville, we're getting people from Atlanta and Birmingham. The shelters there.
Why do you see that? Why do you see us getting more?
Number one, COVID, because a lot were couch surfing. And then some lived with their family, and then their family got laid off from work, and they can support their family additional amount as well.
But
But again,
what's bringing them to Decatur?
it's word of mouth. I don't know how they do it, but the word of mouth gets around. We've got Nashville, Atlanta, Birmingham. They're all coming here because shelters there are dangerous. Wherever I go, I talk to unhoused people, and I think everybody knows. I talk to them and I help them. So I'll ask people, why aren't you in a shelter? And they said it's so dangerous in the shelter, knifings and rapes and robberies, they'd rather be on the street. So even here with Salvation Army, it's the only place there is up in TVA. TVA is too far out to walk for work too. So it's a catch-22 really. We're seeing more people, I think because we're getting people right now coming down from the north, people coming up from Florida because of the bad weather down there. We've got a different group now, it seems, where our group, I say 2 years ago, most were aged 35 to 74. Now they're aged probably 22 to about 74. So we're getting a younger generation right now. Some do go to hotels and live in hotels, still homeless. So you don't have a permanent roof over your head.
Right.
So it's very difficult for that.
I guess another question I have, my brother is, I would consider unhoused. It's because of choices he has made, but he has no desire to, he's great with it.
Yep.
How many do you see who choose that?
3,
3? That's it.
3.
Okay.
That's it. Some choose, some rather be off the grid for their own reasons. 3.
Right. So right now there's 3 here.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions?
All good?
Thank you, thank y'all. for-
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Good to see you, Dave.
John, you're next, but if you wanna wait till,
But to read that,
hey, Cross, he's got the presentation, I don't know if you wanna pull it up. Steph, you got it? Okay.
I think it's talk with him.
Awesome. Keep going, keep going. Last one. One more. Huh?
On the last one, the second presentation, there's a video, so I mean, it's a person's picture, and there's a picture. Thank you. She is, thank you, yeah. Lord, every day's a gift.
Yeah.
Right there.
Hunter comes back. Unless-
Yeah, we'll give Hunter a minute.
Hey, John,
Hey, good morning.
long time, I've had glimpses.
Yeah.
Hope you're well.
Thank you. Yeah, I faded into an illusion in 2020, so it's good to see you guys in
Are
real
things
life.
back to normal somewhat?
Yeah, we're
Oh, my gosh.
9 weeks in.
He's fixing
Who's
his,
that in the back
he's
of the
fixing
room?
his hair. He was getting his hair looking good.
Which one?
Hi there. Bonkers. There's a couple of books.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to really look at them.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Some of those.
We can go ahead and get going if y'all want to. We're kinda behind.
I'm good. with
Yeah,
that.
let's
Yeah,
get
let's
going.
Go ahead, John.
Let's go.
Yeah, we want John to give us time, so.
Please state your names.
Yes, sir.
Because we don't know who's.
John Joseph. Decent. No, man, you're good.
Everybody's staring at me. I feel important now. How's it going, John?
Hey, man, good morning.
Well,
So, I grew up in a little grocery store on Vine Street, and this was my grandfather's ledger. As CFO, you'll appreciate. I don't really know how he kept the accounting. Like, I don't get it.
We have some of those upstairs. from
Yeah.
Our old stuff too.
This is how we did things in the grocery store. And, you know, the lessons that I learned there, when life took me to Oxford, Mississippi, and to DC and outside of Denver and all these places, it was the lessons I learned here that mattered and that guided me. And when we decided to move back home and raise our family, it was for the same reasons. And like you, we love Decatur and love Morgan County, and we're proud of it. like we're all proud of our homes. And, you know, we're going to go through the numbers and the economic impact and the rankings and all the rest of it. But it's personal. You're doing what you do, we're doing what we do because we love this place. We believe in its future. And we're fighting for that. And that's what this is really about. It's not about coats and stats and rankings. It's about home. If you go to the second slide, please. So our E-Center, the mission is to strengthen today's economy and build tomorrow's. And what that means practically for our people, for our city, for our county is new revenue. But because of our people, not because of me or because of the organization, but because of our people, the E-Center is ranked the #1 business incubator in this state overall, no qualifications, no asterisk, no nothing, for the number of businesses that we've graduated out of our incubator. #1 in the state. We are ranked for the number of current clients we're serving, which is 51. #1 in this state for cities our size, and it's not close, for the number of clients we have now. That's our people. That's who we are. And by the way, in that second category, we're only behind one incubator, and that's Innovation Depot in Birmingham, which started like 20 years before us with $15 million or whatever. So that's who we are. That's what we're fighting for, and that's who our people are, and that's who the credit goes to. Slide, please. So the first part of our mission is to serve entrepreneurs. We are first and foremost a business incubator. That's what we do. That's who we're here for. And it doesn't matter if you're a client, but if you're a resident of our county, if you're a resident of this city, you've got an idea, you're the guy working on, he wants to change how you look at your music on pianos, fine, we'll talk to you. We'll figure out if there's a business opportunity there. You're a 7-figure company that's trying to go to the next level. We have those two in our incubator. Fine, we'll work with you. But we provide all of these services for our community every day. And you know, a lot of people, they don't want to promote their services because they don't want more people coming in, because it's a lot more work. We're never going to stop promoting these services. We want every entrepreneur, and we don't care who you are, we don't care your background, your family, your skin color, your religion, we don't care. We just want to help entrepreneurs. And that's what our focus is on. That's our DNA. We're a business incubator. Slide, please. But this translates into impact. So just today, 51 businesses, you see the jobs, you see the payroll. This is money being paid back into the city. And this is a theme with us. Everything we do generates new revenue. And here's the truth. Here's the truth. To help people who lack, we must have people who have. That's the truth. Otherwise, you run out of money. So we're generating new revenue. We're generating jobs. We're encouraging people to create and produce. And our people here do it like nobody else. And that's not us talking, that's Business Alabama. Slide, please. This is our total impact. So over time, you see again, it's just businesses. It's creating new jobs. It's payroll. These are local. These are local. These people are living, they're shopping, they're doing things we need them to do, and they're creating, okay? But every time we create a company, for example, that sells across the nation, all of that wealth flows back into Decatur, Morgan County. That's why places like Seattle have grown so much faster, because when you have an Amazon and a Microsoft and you eliminate 1,000 bookstores and you eliminate 1,000 IT shops, all the wealth from all those purchases flows into one city. So we've got to have those businesses so that that wealth comes here, so we can not only grow our city, but also so that we can help those people who need help and who are truly hurting. So it's not just about numbers. This is personal. This is home. Next slide, please. We're a place that other people want to partner with. That's who we are. People come here, they find out about us, they learn what's actually here, free of stereotypes, free of the way we're represented often outside of our borders. And they want to partner. Columbia Business School, NASA, UH, it doesn't matter. We partner with all of them. And we tell them up front, love you, respect you. We're only going to partner with you if we know how we win. We're not going to just be here so we can partner for the privilege of partnering in a way that doesn't help us, so we can put it in some annual report. Every single one of those partnerships helps our people. And that's why we invest in them. But they want to partner with us too. They come to us. We'll go to them. We're not too prideful to do that, but they come to us. So we partner, and it works, and we're bringing more resources, more partners into this community. Slide, please. So we're also taking on a whole other swath of work that incubators don't do. Why? Because it needs to be done. And people say, well, why are you doing this? What's the point of all that? Incubators don't do any of this stuff. Why are you're recruiting companies, you're recruiting young talent, you're training your constituents, high school kids, to be entrepreneurs for course credit. You're forming partnerships where people can start a technology company with NASA's technology without investing in the R&D. Why are you doing any of that? What does that have to do with anything? It needs to be done. It's home. It's personal. That's why we're doing all that. We got a call from Tennessee a month ago. Why is your incubator doing this stuff? What does that have to do with anything? So because we've got to support today's economy, but we got to think about 15 years from now and 20 years from now. And that's how you get there. It's not just the people who are doing it today, and we've got to support them. Hard enough to be an entrepreneur. It's hard enough to live right now. It's hard enough to get through a day, much less start something. That's why we do that. And again, you look at the common thread: new revenue, new opportunities. Thank you. Doesn't matter if we're supporting a client or we're taking an existing asset like the Robotics and Technology Park and helping them work through what does 2.0 look like, recruiting young talent, training kids to be entrepreneurs. Same theme. Create opportunities, create new revenue. It's what it does. And that's how we become stronger, so we can help the people who are hurting. That's how that happens. And you all know that. So that's the E-Center. Our tagline is strengthening today's economy, building tomorrow's, but we're doing it because we love our home. We're doing it because we love these people, and we're doing it because we have an amazing community full of producers, creators, productive people, makers, and entrepreneurs. And we take it personally. And as you all know, we're not much into style. You know, we don't have, it's not the Ritz-Carlton, okay? We're focused on substance. We're focused on results. We're focused on getting things done. I appreciate the opportunity to present on that. I know you are giving me a little more time on B&B. I also want to thank IT for their help getting this set up today. So thank you.
Do y'all have any questions just on the E-Center side?
John, thank you.
Yeah, no.
I mean, John and I kind of grew up together, and seeing somebody with John's mental capacity come back here because he loves Decatur, and to see what he has done, I'm ready to throw you my water right now. It's not much in there, but thank you for what you do for this city and your love for it, because that's something you can't put a value on. You have a passion for this community, and I just thank you for it.
Thank you.
What kind of funding sources does the E-Center have? I mean, you do charge rent, obviously. Yeah. I mean, what are those kind of funding sources?
Yeah, so rental income is our primary funding source. We have a training and rental side, so we have courses like Business 101, for example, and so that generates income as well. We have rental opportunities, so if you want to rent our training room, rent our conference room, you know, we'll do that. We're very opportunistic about grants, so we don't just sit by and let those opportunities go by and then come here asking for investment. So every time the state offered this for COVID or that for entrepreneurs or whatever, you know, we probably got 4 or 5 of those last year. USDA is another one. But we don't care. Like, people, they have furniture that they don't need. They will give it to us, and we will sell it to small businesses. Like, we have to be entrepreneurial if we're gonna be an e-center. Like, that's how that works. So we're diversified. In terms of our incubator side, we earn a much higher percentage of revenues for ourselves than most incubators. Most incubators get most of their money from a college or from a government entity. But the investment that the city has made, the county has made, primarily enables us to take on not only new services for our entrepreneurs who need it. I mean, it's hard enough to start a business. You know, if you think about it, our economic model is built on something that has an 80% failure rate after 5 years, right? So we're trying not only to help them be supported in new ways, but also launch this whole other side of our operations and do it extremely efficiently, not with, you know, a new building and 10 new full-time employees and everything else. We turn off the lights and we're out the door.
Well, you are out of space, though. I mean, pretty much. Is there future thoughts of expanding?
Yeah, it's an age-old question. So, you know, what we're seeing is enough demand for 90 to 95%, sometimes greater occupancy. Right now, we're actually full. And then we'll have 3 or 4. We're not yet at the point where we're seeing full plus 20 on a wait list. If we get there, then we're ready for that. We've already started the real estate discussions. We're not quite there yet.
All right. John, we appreciate everything you do at the East Center. We've worked on a lot of different things together, but you and your whole team do a great job. I housed the business at the East Center for a little while, so I know the benefits that each business owner can have. So we appreciate that. And you've got one more to talk about. So.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's a team effort. It really is. All right. So our home values are up 40%. We're the home of the best new museum in the country, and we're becoming a movie and music destination. There's a lot of good things going on here. We have challenges. I don't know why sometimes we get sucked up in this idea that like, we're the only city with any challenges. Get mad at everyone who's trying to fix them. We have challenges, but there's a lot going on here that's amazing. And we have a future in front of us that can be built, and that's what this program is about. Slide, please. But we're at a crossroads, and this is the same crossroads that every community comes to. We can build a community that is good for us today, or we can build one that is good for others tomorrow. And it's a choice. It's a choice. It's like, you know, fish or hamburger, like it's a choice. And we have to make a decision consciously, because we're going to make a decision. The absence of a decision is a decision. We have to decide, do we just build for what is good for us today, because it's convenient, we like it, it's a pretty good life? Or do we build what can be great for everyone tomorrow? So we extend that opportunity, and so that what we all enjoy today is available for today's kids, today's grandkids. And that's what this program is about. This is the Best and Brightest initiative, and I remember when we started it, I understand, but there were people who said, no one's even gonna look at that. And here's our issue. We just gotta get people in the door. Like if we're like a business that if you get people in the door, now I'll talk to you. I just didn't know I needed to come in the door. One of the most frustrating things is we recruit people in this program and they say, take me around. So we'll take them on a tour. They'll say, I can't believe all of this is in Decatur. How many times have we all heard this? And this is about showing people what's here so they want to come in the door, because when they come in the door, I feel great about our chances to close. Slide, please. So this program is not about giving people a check. It's about giving them a foundation for a great life. So we're going to put you on a board. We're going to give you a mentor. Yes, there's a student loan component. There's networking, special events. Some of you have been kind to participate in, help us with. More calls are coming. Concierge service. Concierge service. we treat every one of these people personally. They get personal service. So we got 51 businesses in the East Center. We got 42 people here now through this program, and we're talking to them all routinely. And these are just 2 things we do, but you got to do it, so we get it done. And the thing is, in the last 3 weeks, we're placing a new employee in Decatur City Schools. We're helping someone whose in-laws are moving here to buy a house. We're supporting people. We've now got 5 kids in the program. I counted them. I don't want that to be a big problem. There's 37 people, 5 kids. So that's the actual number. We got people who want to start businesses. We got people who are working on the arsenal. They'd rather be working in Decatur. That's a new workforce for us. And we'll talk about that. But it's about a foundation for a great life. It's about being confident in who we are. And that doesn't mean being threatened by anyone around us, but we can be confident about who we are and what we have to offer. And what we have to offer is an arts and outdoors community on the river with a low cost of living, a great pace of life, access to all these same jobs in a place where you can make a difference and be invested in. That's who we are. That's what they hear. Slide, please. We've been fortunate to have investors across the spectrum. The state has called this program a best practice, put money into it for 2 years, now 3. We got our first city funding last year, which was crucial. Private people. But I'll tell you, the city is the key, because fundamentally, this is a city economic development program. You can only participate in this program if you live in the city of Decatur, period. Not the county, not 1 inch past it, not the PJ, whatever. City of Decatur limits. So everyone who's now excited about scaling this up and growing is paying a lot of attention to what happens, because they're ready to go. Like we're hanging around 40. I mean, there's a day we could do 300. Okay, but this isn't pay money into it and hope something works out. You got to live here to participate in the program. What does that mean? They're paying taxes. They're paying license tag fees. They're taking their friends out to eat. They're generating other jobs. And we'll talk about that, but the key point here is this is not spend some money, hope something good happens. If you're not living in the city limits, you don't get to play. So they're paying taxes back day 1. Or they're not in this program. Slide, please. So what are they doing? They're generating new revenue. We've done 2 separate studies. We model numbers far less than both of those studies projected. There's 2 ways you get there. One way is you generate revenue because you go out, you make money, you spend it, you pay tax, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The other way that you generate money is you go out, you participate in the economy, because these people tend to have discretionary income. And that impact of their spending creates more jobs, which creates more revenue. That's the virtuous cycle. That's why you need these people. Now, we already have a lot of these people, and we're going to talk about that too. But they generate new revenue. They're buying houses, okay? They're part of what's bidding so that people who have houses are seeing their property values go up 40%. Apparently, their in-laws are moving here too, if the text I got last night is any indication. They're entrepreneurial, which we didn't expect. We started with STEM. We want to grow this program, but they're entrepreneurial. They're not sure they're going to just invest in the stock market their whole life. They want to start a business, start a bike shop, all kinds of things. They're dating. That's important. It makes you laugh. If you move to a city and there's no one to hang out with or date, you ain't staying too long. Period. That matters. They're dating, they're telling their friends and their family. They're doing 2 other things I can't see. They're joining the boards. So like I said, we put them on the boards. But also, they promote us on social media. And that's the only people their friends believe. Right? They want to know what their peers think. Their peers will tell them what it's really like here. So they're a free promotional arm for us. And a very effective one. Slide, please. I mean, payback's there. These were our latest numbers. You can see them. I know everybody says, like, these are conservative estimates, you know. These are pretty conservative. Both of our estimates for the amount of revenue they each provide per year were north of 5,000. I thought one of the studies got a little carried away on the average home price until the prices went up 40%. Now that might actually be accurate. But we model significantly below that. Based on that model, you can see revenues they've already added to the city. And you know, of the 27 people we have brought here, 22 are still here, but then they bring people with them. So we've actually got 37 through this program who just came along, you know, went to work for the hospital, went to work for Red Sage, or went to work for DCS. So they're bringing people with them. This is economic impact, but it's economic impact that comes back to us in the form of real revenues, which means that you can fill gaps and help the people who need it the most. Okay, keep going. And this is fundamentally about all of our residents. So if you don't maintain a skilled workforce, you're not going to keep great employers or attract them into the city limits of Decatur. They increase property values. Oh, I'm sorry, if you could go back for a second. They increase property values. They have disposable income. And again, to help people who lack, you've got to have a certain amount of people who have. It's just math. Just math. They help us keep the people we already have. And again, they generate those new revenues. Now, there's two questions, and they are legitimate questions that people ask. Now, most people, 8, 9 out of every 10 we talk to support this program. Happy to speak on behalf of it, and they will. But every now and then someone says, but look, my street isn't paved. So why should we invest in this program? I got a pothole in my street. My tire's busted. We're your best friend. The reason your street's not paved is because y'all have had to battle, until recently, with flat and level revenues. So that all your expenses are going up, you got no new revenue to spend. So if you want to now pave all the streets, you have two options. One is you can raise everyone's taxes. Good luck. Good luck with the public reaction to that. Two, you can bring in new people who are generating new revenue for our city. That's what this program does. And you're not going to participate in this program unless you are living in the city limits of Decatur, Alabama. Period. We're your best friend if you want your street paved. We're keeping, you know, your taxes from going up while we get your street paved for you and generate new revenue. So y'all don't have to look at your spreadsheet for the 300th time trying to figure out what to do. Second thing, why we need, we don't need to get young professionals to move here without investing in them. Right? I mean, we already have some anyways. That's true. That's true. But why is Tulsa why are they copying a program like this now? Why is Northwest Arkansas, which is the home of Walmart headquarters, copying a program like this now? Why is Florence doing the Shoals Shift? Why is Birmingham? Because communities that want to grow know that you can never have enough young talent. Because they're going to be part of your future workforce, your future residents, your future board. We already have a lot of great young people here doing all kinds of things. Microbreweries, museums, Restart Mellow Mushroom. We have all kinds of young people. Our city council. I mean, we have a lot. We're doing all right. But you can never have enough. Ever. You can never have enough. So we invest in the ones who don't know about us. Why? Because they do all that stuff. And because they make it easier for us to keep the people here we've got. And one day, you know what happens? People come here just because people come here because that's what you do. And then we'll start getting them for free. Not like they're not paying for it themselves already. Okay.
Buzzer went off.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to stop. But thank you for the video. There's a little 2-minute video, which I guess I should spare everyone.
You can email it to us.
I will email it to you. But thank you for the opportunity to present, and thank y'all for what you're doing. It's team effort, and appreciate you all.
Thanks, John. Any questions for John?
No questions, John. We really appreciate it. I love this program. We can see the real results. that's great, so thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
I would say you gave a great example earlier about focusing on here and now today and in the future. That's a lot like paving the streets versus investing in the future. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Well, if you don't do the latter, you won't be able to do the former.
Yeah.
The two people that didn't like it were griping about paved streets, so.
Thanks,
Have them
John.
call me. We're their best friend.
No,
Thanks
this
for
is-
coming today.
And
Thank
just, I
you.
mean, what you said overall, I mean, that's the stuff I think we fight, you know, it is the poor perception. We've got so many great things to offer, so many good things going on. If I've said it once in the last 7 months, I've said it 50 times, give us a shot.
Yep.
Just give us a shot. And when they get here, guess what they find out? This place is pretty awesome. And they're excited when they get here. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thanks, John.
Is it Faye McWhirter? You're up. Miss McWhirter is with the Orchestra sul Ponticello. I'm thinking.
Ponticello.
I got it wrong. I knew I would.
Well, yes, because you're Canadian.
Yeah, I would say,
First of all, I want to apologize for my appearance today. John was making me just a little bit nervous because I have to check into a hospital at 11:30 for eye surgery. My second of 2 eye surgeries here. I'm Faye Letson McWhirter, and I am here today to represent the Decatur Sul Ponticello, which is Little Orchestra by the Decatur Bridge. A lot of you have probably not heard of us. We haven't done a very good job of marketing ourselves, but we've been around for quite a while. Basically, the orchestra tries to do 4 performances a year. And in each of those performances, we incorporate the students of the Decatur Youth Symphony, which is their next step after they leave that organization, and they are paid to perform with us. It's a very small stipend, but it gives them a chance to hone their skills in a professional group. But music is a uniter. It is an all-inclusive thing, be it The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, all the way to Bach, to Beethoven. It is all-inclusive, and it means something to everyone that may not mean the same thing to the next person, but music will soothe your soul, as it's been said. I left Decatur when I was 16 years old to go to college and didn't return, and I lived and worked all over the world, and I found that music was my peace wherever I was. And then when I came home, it's music again. This is a volunteer. We work with volunteers. Our performers are only paid, and our director, Viljar Wyman, who is renowned, a wonderful performer. But what we're asking for today is we wanted to do a celebration of the bicentennial, which COVID interrupted everything. So what we want to do is a Pops concert in conjunction with the Decatur Youth Symphony, the Decatur Performing Arts School, and still do the bicentennial celebration in the park free for all of the Decatur and the surrounding areas. And that's what we're planning on using this money for. This grant will help us tremendously. If not, we will find the funds somewhere, because this is weighing heavy, and we've been talking about this for several years. We have lots of new and exciting things to bring the orchestra to the front of people, but a city has to have the arts, as we know, with the museums, and we need music in those arts too. So I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'll entertain any questions.
Thanks. Faye, any questions?
Just thank you for coming today. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paler?
Yeah.
Your time.
Is there any way I can get John to do my presentation? Yeah. Right. That's that. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to make a presentation today. As you know, I know all of you have seen our brochure that we did, and just a little update of where we're going. We like a lot of other people, including you elected officials, we sort of know that 2020 went away, so that was our third strategic plan and capital campaign, basically. So we had our great brochures out and everything, and we've decided that we're going to go, instead of 2020 through 2024, we're going 2021 through 25, and just changing a few dates on it. As a matter of fact, I dropped it off yesterday. Same thing, just updating it for that and looking on those lines. So that's kind of the direction that we're looking. I think one of the things, as you all know, over the years, we basically got started with the city in 2007. Over that time, we started out at $80,000 a year. We looked at doing, for 3 years, we did that. And then, when we did our first capital campaign, we asked, could you support us at the side of $100,000 per year for that 5-year time frame? And the city said yes, but then they came back and said, could we stretch that out over 6 years? So what happened was, here comes a number that we've been doing since then. It's $74,100, and that's how that kind of came into play. So over that time, the city has given us, if you do the math on it, they were at the beginning, they were paying on a monthly basis. So the $80,000 actually, $80,000 the first year, and then it was a little bit less than that, so the number's a little bit off. But anyway, long and short of it is that the city has given to us over that time $1,125,000 roughly. And over that time, what we have done, in other words, given back to the city in pure cash payments or paying for developments of streetscape, anything that the city would have had to do. We've gone through all of the listings that we've had. It come that our base was around $1,270,000 that we've come back. So the way we look at it is that for your investment, and that's what we look at, the city is investing in us. Even though we're part of the city, it's still an investment on our level. That gives you the fact that we're $145,000 the way we look at it, that we've given more back to you, or paid for, or benefits in pure value that the city would have had to deal with. And when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about any of our operational costs or anything like that, but anything that we would have done that is to the benefit of the city. This past year, this fiscal year, October of, which is fiscal 21, starting in October, we had 3 projects. The bridge, if you know, we did a planting there, landscaping. We did the Express Oil property, and obviously that's pretty obvious and certainly well worthwhile. And again, a start for our 6th Avenue project that goes into it. We wound up with around, on those 2 projects, we had 47,000 in fiscal, a little over 47,000 in cash, plus we were able to get, we had a contract to take up the concrete, but they wound up doing that in kind, and then we got topsoil brought in kind, so we wound up with the value of around 67,000. And then the other project we did were the banners, something that the city would have done. We went from, as you know, the banners on the poles went from the Old State Bank all the way to Gordon Drive, and that was around $9,500. So you're looking at roughly $76,000 that we have spent that goes back to the benefit of the city, and we in turn receive $74,100. So for your investment, again, that's just in the last fiscal year. You can see that the value of what we do is certainly goes a long way. We have the other thing is that, as you can know, what John talked about and what you've seen is the amount of people the amount of investors, developers that have come in. When we got started way back, we said, we want to build a base here that's going to draw that. We want to get critical mass, and I think we have actually reached critical mass. I know that we work closely with Mr. Dukes, Mr. Ladner, councilman, and they understand.
You don't have to say councilman. No.
Oh, council president.
Address it correctly.
The high Panjandra, yes, I understand. Anyway, we've seen, the other part of it is, and this is a correlation that you see how things tie together. We have invested in the young professionals on our board, and our board we are literally in a position that we have, in all these years that we've been here, we're in the best position we've ever been. With that, we have a number of young professionals. They are more like staff people rather than board members. They get out and they work and they do it. And on top of that, we have an alumnus of the best and brightest on our board also. So you see that what he's talking about, it puts it in the future of downtown. You know, we've laid the base. Now it's ready to move forward, and the future of downtown is with the young people, and they understand it. So our board is prepped and ready to go on that level. So Kelly, do you want to make some comments? I'm going to let, this will be a much better venue than have to look at me, so.
For those of y'all that don't know me, I'm Kelly Thomas. I'm the past chairman of Rick's board. I actually just rotated off in June. So one of the things that John was talking about was that, we want young professionals in Decatur. Well, I don't know if y'all noticed, but 5 of the 6 pictures on his slideshow were of downtown when he showed Decatur. So we're the heart of this city, and we're the heart of all cities. Downtowns are where people want to be. One of the things that changed in 2020 was that people started working remotely. And now that's just a norm. You can work remote whenever you want at most jobs. So when people realized that they didn't have to be chained to a desk in their office building, they got out and started seeing, where could I go? I could go to a park, I could go to a coffee shop, a restaurant. Well, all of those places are usually in the heart of the city, which is downtown. So a lot of downtowns across the U.S. in 2020 actually saw new residents come in and relocate to the downtowns, not just to work, but to live. So 2 things that are happening in our downtown right now is we're getting new residential developments on Bank Street. We've got 2 there, and then we've got the ACA student housing coming up near 2nd Avenue. So we're gonna have a cluster of new residents living in downtown. But we're also having developers, like Rick said, come in left and right saying, hey, we want to consider building more residential here, but we want it downtown. We want our commercial developments downtown. So everything good that is happening, people are seeing it, they're wanting it to be downtown. We need an increase in funding this year to help support the projects that these developers are asking for. So one of the things that every developer has said that's come to the city of Decatur is we need to fix our entryway. That's 6th Avenue. We've already started on that project. That's something that we are partnering with the city to help accomplish so that doesn't just affect the downtown, that affects all developments across the city. So DDRA is serving the city not just for ourselves in this area, but for future developments that will be outside of the downtown limits. So, the riverfront development, anything across the river that's going to happen in Decatur, something has to draw those people back across once those developments happen, and we believe it's us here in the downtown. So we appreciate y'all's support. We consider ourselves a crucial partner for the future development of Decatur, and we look forward to working with y'all.
Do you have any questions?
Just thank y'all for coming today.
Thank
No
y'all.
questions. I get to talk to you 2 often, and Kelly and I have been friends and JC's for a long time. Appreciate everything y'all do, and you can see a difference in downtown, so.
I do have a question, and you talked about it a little bit, kind of the original thought around DDRA was what's been done. You've seen the before and after pictures downtown, but it sounds like kind of, Kelly, what you were saying, that maybe the 21 through 25 strategy seems to be heavier around residential development, but still around the downtown area. Is that kind of the next phase of DDRA after getting downtown cleaned up a little bit? A lot.
Absolutely. Well, actually, in reality, that was one of our initiatives early on. We've always talked, our second round was, residential in the city center, but it was a hard play until we get, like I said, the critical mass, which is where we are now, and we're seeing that. Not only that, but it's yes, that's the focus, but also, how do we promote what we've got also? I mean, heavy promotion of bringing more people in, showing now we have something for you to do. And so consequently, I think one of the things, and Kelly's strong point is marketing also, so she can come into bloom with that. But that's the area that we look at as much as anything.
Talking about, the partnerships with what John says and what y'all do, it's almost like John said, once we get them here, they're engaged, but it's how do we get them here? And, we're taking baby steps and moving in that direction, but, thank you all for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other thing I would say is really important is that we have a lot of, especially today, we've had the chamber, we've had John at the East Center, and now you guys is kind of all, and y'all do work well together, and that just has to continue, or y'all just start stepping on each other's toes and doing the same stuff. But I think that is important for those, especially those three.
John and I have always had a strong, working relationship where we meet once a week or once a week we would meet just to work through things. So we stay close, and I can't think of anybody any more prepared and exceptional to lead the chamber than Crystal Brown. And so we work very closely with her over the years for anything that comes downtown business or residential wise. And so consequently, we have outstanding respect for one another. Well, I respect them, not necessarily, it may not come back this way, but we have a great deal of respect and an understanding and a great working relationship. So I think we're very lucky on that sense.
Seeing 2007 to now and what you guys have had your impression on is night and day. So
a lot of partners involved.
Somebody's got to lead it.
If we could get a good sign company in town, we'd be.
Well, if you'd use me to buy the banners, maybe.
I can't do
Thank
that.
Thank
you.
We have our city attorney comment on that.
All right, we'll keep on rolling. You all good?
Yes.
Volunteer Center, Ms. Coleman?
No.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. Since this is a new council, I haven't got to speak for any of y'all yet. So who knows about the Volunteer Center?
I knew I had to go around getting those stamps on those different restaurants.
Yes, that's even better. All right,
I wish
so
I did that like every month.
it would be awesome, wouldn't it? So that was actually our first fundraiser coming out of COVID. So it was a success. It was nothing like Taste of the Valley normally is, but it worked. We made it work. So we've been here 50 years. The Volunteer Center is a grassroots nonprofit. One thing about Decatur City that I learned when I moved here 26 years ago, I've probably been in the nonprofit world around 15 years, is the resources that are here in this city is what fuels the city. And that's the impact we make. So we personally like to make a direct impact on the community by making sure our citizens and our children are receiving the services, they can maintain a healthy lifestyle, and being on a low income budget. We do wheelchair ramps for seniors and disabled, which makes their homes easier to enter and exit. We also financially help them with the supplies and the labor, which is the volunteer aspect. Everybody that builds a ramp is complete volunteer hours. And a lot of these individuals are anywhere from, older 60s or in all low income, every single one of them. So they can't afford, they can't afford the supplies. We like to do small home repairs, indoor and out. Now I can't run wire, I can't do major plumbing, but I sure can mow a grass to make it look better and help that beautification of whatever area. Some people just physically can't do it. So we help with that. We get volunteers to do that. That raises the awareness. Another part that I don't think a lot of people understand about the Volunteer Center is the disaster relief that we offer. So we are part of VOAD, which is an organization that's fueled by the EMA. And if there's a disaster, and I'm going to use the microburst that we recently had happen, doesn't matter where it happens. If it happens in Morgan County, we're here to help. Ty Bowling called, Casey, you got anybody can cut trees down? Sure, hold on, give me just a second. Picked up the phone, and we got a couple people out. That's what we're there for. So if we have a major disaster, like we did many years ago, we actually hub the reception center. So when a disaster happens, you've got to have somebody organize it, coordinate it, make sure the right people are coming in and going in these people's homes. They're rebuilding their lives. You can't just send anybody in there to do that kind of work. So we coordinate all that, run all the background checks, and execute. In 2020, just gonna throw a couple numbers out, we were actually able to help 40 elderly and disabled residents with wheelchair ramps and small home repairs. We also helped 40 families and 120 indirectly, because you have people in the home, with heating and cooling. This is a big thing. A lot of people cannot afford to have their air conditioners, and in the South, if you don't have air, it's not fun. So we put we donate small window units. So we helped around 40 and 120 as families. We helped feed with partnerships of like Barrels of Love and stuff like that, and CCC. We do partner with a lot of other nonprofits in the area too, which makes us better, makes all of our nonprofits better. So we don't step on toes, and we don't duplicate people, and we don't duplicate services. So we fed around 300 families. We recruited 1,761 children for Christmas assistance. Now, we can't go out and buy your whole Christmas, but I will tell you, in 2021, right at Christmas time, when everybody got laid off, they were down my street in the building. So to help those children have Christmas, it's small, but it helps. At least I got something. We're the only certified organization that gives the Presidential Volunteer Service Award from the President from Washington, D.C. We executed 115 of those. So children from the ages of 8 to 18 actually volunteered during the pandemic because it was important. It was important to help. And so we love giving that award every year. Can't wait till next year so I can hand them out in person again. So, talked about disaster. We actually mobilized 6,125 volunteers in 2020, and we were able to serve, whether it was one child or a family, around 10,000 residents of the city. Just with the small resources we have, I think we've been getting city money good 20 years, probably 25. Always appreciate you guys supporting us. We couldn't do it without y'all. You know, nonprofit is what it is. You gotta ask for what you want. So appreciate y'all. And anybody got any questions?
Any questions?
No questions for me.
No? We good?
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks for coming today. All right, Mr. Stout with NARCOG. Maybe that's okay.
Do you want us to?
Good morning. My name is Falguni Patel. I'm the Director of Transportation at NARCOG. So instead of Michael, I'll be doing the presentation today. Thank you for providing me an opportunity to do this morning. I have a handout. It's just one page, if you would. So, I started in middle of pandemic last year. So So my numbers last year were a little bit skewed, and right now I'm presenting on 21 data. So it's a little bit skewed, but I'm going to talk about a lot of pre-pandemic data because last year was not a benchmark or anything for us. On average, first of all, let me introduce NARCOG. So NARCOG stands for North Central Alabama Regional Council of Governments. We're a regional council, one of the 12 regional council of governments in the state. Our main programs in NARCOG till a few years ago were economic development, planning, and senior services. But 5 years ago, NARCOG took over transit from both Morgan and Lawrence counties. Till then, we had 2 separate systems in the region, and now NARCOG handles one combined system for both counties, which includes the city of Decatur. So on average, we did 220 one-way trip in 2019-2020, before pandemic, and 20 in middle of the pandemic, we did about 40 to 50 trips per day, one-way trips. So that's basically serving about 20 to 30 people every single day, which was kind of, really slow for us, but we managed to stay open during the whole pandemic. We were one of the only agencies, or transit agencies, 5307 transit agencies in the state that stayed operational during the pandemic. Because there are so many people that depend on us, sometimes we think that for small towns, transit is not that essential. But if you ask, there is a population, a segment of population that really depend on us. What we generally do from day to day is medical trips, a lot of employment trips, and other essential trips. Sometimes, during pandemic, that's something I learned, was taking people to grocery stores. Like, no, we can't take you groceries, that's not essential. But for some people, that is an essential trip. They don't have any other way to go to, ways that they can get to a grocery store. We received so many calls during pandemic where I said, hey, I don't have anything to eat at home. I don't know, if you don't take me to grocery store out, my family will, can't eat that day or that week. So we did a lot of those trips too during pandemic, but that's just regular trips we did even before pandemic. Other things that regular trips we do is meals for 2 senior centers within the region, within the urban area, which is Decatur and Hartselle. We did transportation for CAPNA programs, and we continue to do that. Foster grandparents program and senior companion programs. These are some of the programs that are, really important for our seniors or the kids that really need these services. So we did those. We did transportation for Project Search, which is basically training individuals for employment. So they are placed in different organizations throughout the city, and we just take them to their work and bring them back, or take them to training, things like that. And our urban area trips are $2 each way, and you can schedule a trip 1 day in advance and you have it. Our trips we did 60% of our regular trips last year. They were down by 40%, which is kind of national average, what all the other transit agencies did too. One thing that we're really proud of though is we didn't have any COVID outbreak that originated in transit, because that's what happens. People are congregated in a tight space, and that's when things happen. But we didn't have any one case that happened like that. And $1 in appropriation that city gives us is we can draw down $1.24 in federal funds. That's how we operate. We don't have any local funding. Our city and county appropriations are our local funds that we use to get the federal funds. And all our federal funds, they have to have match for anything. Even during COVID, we had CARES funds, but they're gone now, and we need the funding to be operational, stay operational for next year. So what we are asking is our full appropriation that we used to receive, $150,000 before. Past few years, we've been getting $135,000, but we're asking if we can go back to the original, because that's the only way we can grow. We're at 5 years mark now. In this 5 years, we've improved service a lot. I've looked at the numbers. We started this service in 2017. The annual trips we did during those times, or before even we took over the service, was like 60 to 70,000 trips a year, for way higher appropriations from our local governments, versus what we're doing now is our funding, we've cut it almost to 50% than what we did before 5 years ago. So we made it really efficient, but the only way for us to grow from here is if we can get more appropriations. We're capped. I know the demand is there because we get calls every single day that we cannot fulfill because those trips cannot be scheduled because I don't have drivers, I cannot hire more, and we cannot grow. Other thing we would like to do next year is that we want to do a study to identify gaps or things that we can change. That way we can maybe try to adjust a little bit and improve survey certain way. From time to time, we get calls from Calhoun Community College saying, hey, we want to offer this program in the afternoon that is for family working people, but we can't really do anything. We don't work after 5. So if we want to extend our service in the evening or even provide more routes, we cannot do it right now. We have partners, they're ready to work with us, but our hands are binded right now, So we really appreciate if you can continue your support, get your continued support for this. And that's pretty much it. If you have any question, I can answer that.
Do you know, I'm assuming a lot of those rides are some of those to get people to their job?
Yes, so that's one of we do medical trips and employment trips. Those are our top 2 that we do. Because even during pandemic, we had regular riders that been depending on us for years to get to their jobs. And if their job was open, we took them there. Because there were so many places. Fast food restaurants, they were closed, but if they were open, the ones that were open, we took them there. That's one of the main things. And that's the, my background is in planning, all the things that the downtown people and John talked about. I agree to that. We don't think about transit being part of that equation, but if you want to bring those young people in, that you're trying to lure them from other big cities or other towns, transit will have to be part of that equation. Once you have people living downtown, and once you start having parking issues and all those things, at that time, transit becomes integral. So that's other thing I want to look at is that, okay, we're trying to grow here, or city is, doing all these different things, but are we ready? We at transit, we want to be ready with that growth too. We want to see where city is growing and we want to grow with them, because we will have to be part of that equation. I mean, look at Huntsville. Nobody thought that Huntsville needed transit. I've worked in Huntsville, that area for a long time, and it's like, oh, we don't need transit. Nobody uses transit, or people think that it's only for poor or disabled or elderly. Transit is becoming part of everybody's life. And even down here, people's perception is that transit is only for one segment of population, but it's not really that. And even it's open right now. Anybody in if you paid fare or schedule a ride, it's open to everybody.
Yeah, it's a workforce.
It's workforce, yes. And those are every time we receive call from Calhoun Community College, it's those afternoon hours we're taking people, and even industry partners, can you do ride at certain times? Because if you look at the second shifts and, all those, but we can't do those. Because they might not have they might be able to get to work with us, but we can't take them home. So that is one of the things, it's a barrier for people to retain their jobs too, So
you mentioned that you were down 40% in transports.
Mm-hmm.
Did that end up impacting your reducing your expenses by an equal value?
No, because even if the bus runs empty, it still runs. So our wear and tear is still there. Our operational cost go little bit down because we weren't doing as much in gas. And gas prices were down at the same time. But you're seeing, how gas prices are where they are going now. So it's coming back up. The only thing that reduced at the time was a little bit on wear and tear and gas money. We retained pretty much all our staff because what we were doing at the time was we were doing one person per trip just to reduce that exposure for people. And also our fares, we were doing free trips at the time to reduce the burden on people, that because most of these people were either gonna lose their job, or they didn't have money, that there were just so much going on at the same time. And since we had CARES Act money, we just did free trips for people who were really needed transit at the time. So we didn't have fare money coming in, which offsets some of our costs. So that's where everything we were down a little bit, but not compared to what the rides we did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One more question. You said you receive a county allocation as well. Do you know the amount of that?
It's $150,000, and they continue doing that. We never got the reduced amount from them. It's ever since we took over, but they were putting in more money before, and now that we are doing the transit, it's less cost for them, and we continue to get our allocation from them. Okay. So Lawrence County does, Morgan County has, City of Decatur, and City of Hartselle. Those are our main 4 allocations that we get, that we can match the funds with. And then we would have, from time to time, we have different contracts with local organizations, which one of our contracts with Mental Health Center, we used to do their summer program, which they didn't do this year, or last 2 years it's been, down, so we can't. Some of our contracts got canceled because of COVID, but we still need appropriation or matching fund, otherwise we cannot draw down those federal funds, so.
Do you know how much you get from Lawrence County or Hartselle off the top of your head by chance?
Lawrence County is $50,000. We don't do much. Compared to Morgan County, we don't do that as much. In most of our dollar ride we do is in City of Decatur. It's 80% of our trips are in Decatur. Either they originate or stay within the city. We have seen uptick in rides that originate outside the city, but they come into the city because, and most of those are doctor's appointments, because so many things got canceled during COVID, and everybody's going back to doctors, or they push back some of those elective surgeries, things like that, and we're seeing that coming back. But so our overall City of Decatur numbers got increased, even though they're lower, but they're still higher when you look at overall numbers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, the county, it's talking about $150,000 from the county. There are some other services provided, such as feeding centers.
So those contracts are separate from the appropriations because that's specific services that we are providing for them. So that we still have that separate contract to serve the senior centers with them.
So the 150 is not included?
No, it's just only for providing transportation to the general public.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So senior services contract is separate from that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Nothing else?
Any other question?
I don't think so. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Fowler with the Pryorfield. Did you break the door? Did you break the door?
Adam home with a new baby?
Yes, sir, he is. He sends his regrets he could not be here today. The little one had his own schedule.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Good morning, Council. My name is Nathan Fowler with Pryorfield Airport Authority. I am your appointee and your chairman for the authority, and in case you didn't know, you're part owner of an airport. So, a little bit backstory for the benefit of the board, or the council, about the board. We're a 5-member board. We have 4 owners, Decatur, Morgan, Athens, and Limestone. We have an at-large member, which is elected amongst those 4 owners. 4 of those members are pilots, representing general aviation, commercial, and military. And our mission is to provide strategic vision, executive support, and assist in carrying out the mission, which is to be a world-class airport facility and to represent our community in the global economy. Now, Pryorfield itself is a regional airport, but we have a global reach. All it takes is one scheduled stop from an international airport for us to be in an international airport. That's the difference between us and Huntsville. However, large majority of our impact is through general aviation. Now, what is general aviation? If you go to an airport such as Huntsville and you get on a scheduled airline, that's what's considered commercial aviation. General aviation is really the umbrella term which covers everything that is not a scheduled air carrier. Law enforcement, medical, economic, which means cargo carrying, FedEx, UPS, those are all fall into general aviation. You also have the recreation portion of it as well, which is a very small portion, but we're a self-feeding community. Everybody starts out in general aviation and then slowly works up the ladder till they're an airline transport pilot, if you so choose. Now, Pryorfield is an airport that ranks either number 1 or in the top 5 of general aviation airports here in the state of Alabama. We're a 6,100-foot runway with multiple bad weather approaches. We can support aircraft up to 737 or DC-9 size. That represents roughly 32,000 pounds of cargo. That'll make sense in just a minute. We're capable of extending our runway to 10,000 feet, and we also have plans in what we call the North Development of 85,000 square feet under roof. That's going to represent 30 to 75 skilled labor jobs. Now, just a couple of things about general aviation. There's roughly 600,000 general aviation pilots in America today. As of, I think 2020 was the last time AOPA did the study. In terms of Pryorfield, we have 130 based aircraft. That's 130 individual aircraft that's at Pryorfield. That makes us number 1 in Alabama by a large margin. And for the mayor, he heard our speech last year. We were actually number 2, and we leapfrogged the number 1 by about 20 to 25 aircraft. We have a wait list of 70 aircraft currently. We have 70 people that want to bring other aircraft to Pryorfield. Now, that's not just your small, what we call bug smashers, which is the single engine, little noisy ones you hear flying around. That's everything from that type aircraft to a twin turboprop to a jet. We have a mixture of aircraft. We have helicopters, gliders, multi-engine, single engine. Local law enforcement flies out of Pryorfield. We have ambulance services that fly in and out of Pryorfield. We also have, in times of need, we have the federal government flying in and out of Pryorfield. The governor stops in. The first lady has stopped in. We tried for the president, but he went somewhere else, so couldn't help that. Our economic impact in the 2021 to 2022, just kind of what we have done for the community locally, just in terms of Pryorfield, we are starting to revamp our community hangars. The community hangars were built World War II era, and they house a large majority of our aircraft that are not in private hangars. We have updated and rehabbed our self-service fuel system. That is basically the gas tanks for when you need fuel. We have done a runway rehabilitation and a taxiway rehabilitation. That was 2019 and 2020 projects. They were completed this year. That extends the service life of our runway approximately 10 to 15 years. We have 100% hangar occupancy. As I said, we have 57 to 70 aircraft on the private wait list and 10 just on the community hangar wait list. Also in October 2020, and we've discussed this with Mr. Pike, we assumed operations as the fixed-based operator. The best definition is a full-service gas station for airplanes. So someone comes in, we can provide services from fueling the aircraft to working on the aircraft, catering services, transportation. We've even gone as far as throwing a party for somebody that needed a birthday party. Those are things that we have done. And in that time, we have set sales records for the FBO at Pryor Field 5 times in 1 year. So we're doing, we think, fairly well there. Now, in terms of the economic impact to the community, the Alabama State System Plan, which is something that ALDOT and the state of Alabama coordinate on to look at the economic impact of their infrastructure throughout the state. In 2005, the economic impact for Pryor Field was $3.5 million. In 2020, it was $14.7 million. That's an increase of 123%. Now, ALDOT says for every $1 invested in an airport, $4 in revenue go back to the local community. So you guys can do the math on what our rock bottom bargain basement investment we're asking for is doing for you. Now, I'm so glad that Mr. Joseph and Mr. Paylor went before me, because our board member has coined a saying about airports in general is infrastructure is not sexy. Nobody gets excited about sewer. Nobody gets excited about the new water mains or anything else.
Jacob does.
But what they do get excited about is the business that it brings. So your airport, just across the river, has been able to bring you $14.7 million in economic impact, and we haven't even gotten started yet. We are looking at, I know this off the top of my head, I don't even know why I'm flipping to this. We're doing our airport master plan, which is required by the FAA and ALDOT every 10 years to project what we were looking at in terms of the airport 10, 15, 20 years out. It's sort of like just a planning document. We don't want to call it a wish list, because these are actual things that we can achieve. The Airport North infrastructure improvements, I'm sorry I didn't bring any slides today, but if you go out to 31 and you see the terminal building, just to the north of it between Garrett Road and the terminal building, we're looking at putting 85,000 under roof there, along with 2 large freight pads. That means we could accommodate more freight traffic. We are looking at adding South Airport bathroom facilities. We recently had to tear down a building that had existed since World War II. Just the dollars didn't work out to renovate it, so we're wanting to add that for the local pilot community. We want to acquire 55 acres to the east of the airport for further expansion. And we're looking at constructing hangars, which will greatly reduce that wait list that we're looking for. Airports are something, again, going back to the infrastructure comment, airports are something that is an economic enabler. While we don't fill in potholes and we don't beautify the community, what we do is we bring in the revenue dollars that allow the community to stand on our shoulders and bring those kinds of impacts to everybody's life. I know Mr. Kyle has been able to come out and take a tour. We would love to give any one of you a tour of the airport, possibly get you an airplane ride or two.
Yeah, I was supposed to get one of those.
Hey, come on
I
out.
need to follow up on that.
Yeah. Hey, pilots will, any chance to burn avgas, we'll do it. So, if you gentlemen have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I'm just curious, Muscle Shoals Regional Airport,
Yes.
that's boutique air, fly out of there. Are there any plans in your kind of strategic plan to have an actual airline
That is called a Part 139 or a scheduled service. Yes, we would like to. We have been in discussions with a few different ones. It's very difficult to get that without certain services. One of those things is fire protection, which, as you're aware, there's nothing really on that side of the river. I know you all have discussed putting a fire department across the river. We would greatly appreciate that. It helps us as well. But yes, boutique air, you know, point to point from here to Nashville, here to Atlanta would, but again, that's putting us in direct competition with the neighbor to the east, and they'll have a lot to say about that. But yes, we would like to do those types of things.
Any other questions?
Question, are y'all in the city limits or are y'all in the PJ? Is it like a PJ or in that area or?
We're in the PJ.
You're in the PJ?
Yeah, we're outside
Okay.
the city limits.
There's no PJ Lobson County.
You're in no man's land.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We have an MOU with Decatur and I believe Tanner Volunteer Fire Department for fire services now.
Okay.
Limestone County, I believe, is our law enforcement of choice, but we do have an MOU with this department here.
We're glad to be able to help.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Yeah. I'll get back with you on that flight.
Come on.
Give our best to have.
Under the,
Yeah.
Two more.
police jurisdiction is only in Morgan County.
Ms. Collier with the foster grandparents.
Thank you, Diane. I didn't know that.
State law.
Collier.
Several years ago.
Collier.
But the city is annexed.
Collier. I-E-R is from
Frenchman?
Sorry.
Oh, it's Collier.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It
It sounded much better the way you said it.
I should have stopped trying to pronounce it.
It did sound very fancy.
So I'm Melissa Talent with the Senior Companion Program at Community Action, and this is Chantal Collier. She does the foster grandparent program. Both of our programs are kind of a twofold program. So for the Senior Companion Program, we go out and provide services, in-home services for the elderly, the frail, the disabled, and the homebound. We provide those services with seniors of over 55. So the program helps people stay in their homes. It provides them help around the house, meal prep. It helps them remember to take their medications when they need to. For those volunteers of ours that drive when they go to see their clients, they can also run errands for them, take them back and forth to the doctor. We also have some that don't ride or don't drive. They ride the NARCOG bus. They got some of our companions back and forth to work starting September last year and still do moving forward. The second part of our program is for those over 55, and most of my volunteers are ages 70 and 80. It provides them with that little extra money that gets them through each month so that they don't have to rely on so much assistance as well. So it provides them the ability to pay for their cell phones or get the groceries that they couldn't get before, especially during this last year and a half when so many food banks and things have either shut down or cut back. So it's been a great program for the community. I have currently, I have almost 70 clients currently. 75% of those clients are within the city of Decatur, and we serve Morgan, Lawrence, and Coleman counties. 75 to 80% of the new referrals that we are getting are also within the city of Decatur. So support has been down due to COVID. Obviously, the funds have been down and the grants have been down. So we're looking to get a little extra help from the city of Decatur to continue doing what we do.
And so I'm the director, like she said, of the foster grandparent program. Again, our volunteers are 55 and older. They're low-income volunteers. They do receive a small stipend that's not taxed, so they still are able to receive their Social Security and whatever benefits they got from their previous jobs. My volunteers mainly work in the classrooms with pre-K to second grade. They do mentoring of math and literacy. Last year, well, the pandemic, they were out of the classroom. The teachers really, really missed it. They saw how beneficial it was to have that extra set of eyes, hands in the classroom at the end of the school year when their scores weren't as high as they were, or they saw kids not excel like they would normally with a foster grandparent in their classroom. So the teachers are the ones that set their assignments in the classrooms. They pick out the students who need the most help, and if they excel during the class, the teacher will assign them with another student. But like she said, most of my volunteers are in Decatur City. I just received word last week that they are able to return this school year, so my volunteers and the teachers are excited to have them back. So these funds that we asked for, it's for our local match to help us draw down more federal funds like previous presenters have said. But other than that,
I wanted to mention a little bit about what the volunteers did during the pandemic. So we were able to allow our volunteers to go back into the homes starting the 14th of September last year. And a few of them did. I have 40 volunteers currently. I had 50 when the pandemic started. We lost some passed away, some just physically became unable to continue working. But those that are still working, I've got about 38 working, and then 12 not working, but 10 of those 12 are currently waiting on their clients to be assigned to them. They've recently decided they're going to go back to work. They're waiting for those clients. The other 2 are currently on a leave of absence, waiting for the summer to go over because they began taking care of their grandchildren while the pandemic was going on. But during the time that they were not working at all, they were still working from home. They were doing teleservice. They had official forms to fill out each week. They were required to make at least 2 phone calls. Most of them make more. They do become very much family once they start going into the homes of these citizens that we help. They began running errands, picking up groceries, picking up medications, delivering those to the clients that were homebound, couldn't get out. They cooked meals, delivered those meals to them as well, because we all know Meals on Wheels and the NARCOC meals, they all kind of went back to just one day, and they weren't getting the food that they were used to getting. And then they did fun things like celebrating their birthdays by way of the front porch. There were a lot of birthdays on the front porch this past year, and there was even one really nice birthday parade, thanks to the police department and the sheriff's department here in Decatur, both for helping us with that parade for a 103-year-old client that we serve, who is still active and staying in her home. Thank you, guys. You have any questions for us?
How many with the foster grandparents, how many are in the schools? What, like, percentage-wise?
Out of all of mine, I have total right now, I have 50 volunteers, and I'd say 38 of them are in Decatur City schools.
So the majority are for school service. Are the schools going to allow them back in this year? They are?
Yes.
She just said that.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll say it again. Yeah, we're excited. We just found that out last week, so I've been emailing principals and.
You know what? These are kind of long.
I was just telling you.
Kind of zoned out. Pardon me.
It's okay.
I'm an idiot. Carry on. No more questions for me.
He doesn't want to ask us.
I just wanted to make sure they were paying attention. That's all that was.
Any other questions?
Thank y'all for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
you're all no.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
How did I miss that? It all started going downhill when the Canadian mispronounced the name.
I'll let you introduce this next gentleman then.
Okay, let me find it on the list.
Mr. Wynn, is that right?
Mr. Patrick Wynn.
Yeah.
Boys and
You say
girls.
wine or
That
something.
was easy.
Last but not
Mr.
least.
Wine.
The $2 million man.
I'll make this short, so I know I'm the last person to hold y'all up from getting out of here. Good morning, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for the opportunity to come and talk to you guys today and present. I apologize about yesterday. I had a situation with my computer that crashed, so I apologize, but thanks for allowing me to come again today. Kind of talk about Boys and Girls Clubs. You know, the money that we're requesting is for our programs at our Oak Park Boys and Girls Clubs, our 3rd Street Boys and Girls Clubs, and there on the station that we just recently opened on April 8th. The funds that we're requesting are for our programs of academic success, healthy lifestyles, character and citizenship. And so these are just programs that we run each and every day at our Boys and Girls Clubs to prepare our young people to have a plan for the future. Everything that we do at the clubs is about when kids graduate, that they have a plan to go in the workforce, higher education, military. And so these are some of the programs that we're running each and every day at our facilities to enhance our programs at Boys and Girls Clubs. And also, just like everybody else said, these are drawdown dollars to allow us to pull down federal dollars. You guys know that. I probably heard that every time somebody got up here today and talked. But we're very appreciative for the funds that it continues to allow us to continue serving kids. And you know, some of the things that we've been doing is continuing to serve meals, not just at Boys and Girls Clubs. We serve DYS, we serve a couple of the daycares here in Decatur. And so during the pandemic, we served almost 800 meals a day, delivering meals to needy families and communities. We've continued that all through 2021. It'll end September 30th. So that's something we continue to do, provide those meals to those food deserts, and just continue to provide quality after school and summer programs for our Boys and Girls Clubs each and every day. Very excited to be a part of this community and what we've been able to add the value in terms of opening the station, redoing the 3rd Street Club that so many people attended here in Decatur. And so just an awesome opportunity for us to provide that leadership and just great exposure for the young people here in Morgan County. You guys got questions for me? I know I'm the last one, so I don't want to prolong it.
How do you partner? I mean, you mentioned DYS and
Yep.
probably some similar programs.
Right.
Can you talk kind of through how that works? I mean, I assume you and Brandon, or y'all have a relationship and kind of work together on something.
Well, so the program that we do in terms of so just like any school, we have a USDA food program, right? And so I don't want to get into history, but some years ago, DYS, they lost access to that program. And when we came over and we started doing it, we were able to write the grant and include them in because, really for us, it's just about feeding kids. Right. And so, but one thing that Brandon and I have talked about was really sitting down and seeing what ways we can partner together to do some collaborations amongst our programs to make sure there's no duplication of services and to make sure that we all add value to our programs to all of our kids that are attending our different programs. They do some things that we don't do and vice versa.
And both are, from what I understand, kind of full.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's obviously a need. My other question is, Boys and Girls Club is obviously a huge organization. I mean, I guess it's probably international. I know it's at least in the U.S.
Well, yeah, it is. We have Boys and Girls Clubs everywhere that we have military troops all over the world. So anywhere that we support our troops. So anywhere our troops are all over the world, we have a Boys and Girls Club facility there.
So I see campaigns with the NFL, and I'm watching it. Can you talk kind of how?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times locally, people see those huge commercials and they think we're receiving that money locally. We're not. So really, so we're a franchise. So I write a big check to Boys and Girls Club of America every December to have the name. And so when you see, you can go in the local malls and give to Boys and Girls Clubs. That money is not coming locally. That's a fight that we've had with our local Boys and Girls Club for many years. Like, you guys don't need to be in our local communities because the message can get, it can get really toward it. I was at the mall the other day in Huntsville at Belk, and I see this sign that said give to Boys and Girls Clubs of America. But when people see that, they just automatically think the dollars are staying local. And so, yeah. Now, I'll say this. Boys and Girls Club of America, they have great resources. There's some pass-through funding, but they fundraise just like I have to fundraise.
And the benefit you get from the franchises, they're helping you with the programming and the resources.
They create all the programming. All the programs are tried and tested. There's pass-through dollars from the federal government. And so, but in terms of actually funding, Boys and Girls Club of America, they don't fund us as an organization.
So local organization.
Yes. We're controlled by our local board of governors. Great question. I get asked that quite often because people will be watching a baseball game and they say to me, why do you fundraise? You're getting all this money from Boys and Girls Clubs, but it doesn't work that way.
Patrick, it wasn't easy, but I need to say it here publicly that the investment that y'all made in the station definitely was an improvement. It looks great. I think that the programming is taking place there, and we appreciate y'all making that investment.
Thank you, thank you. You know, it's a vision that we had. We really thought that, you know, it's something that could really add value to the community. We were serving about 3 teams before the station. I go over there now, it's 25 teams a day. So immediately you see that the investment is paying off. And so it's just an opportunity once again to expose kids and get on a platform for success. I appreciate you saying that.
Sure thing.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
All y'all do.
Well, we appreciate, you know, the support that you guys give the club. So I couldn't do it without you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming.
All right.
And that wraps it up.
You got any advice for us?
So what'll happen is the mayor and I'll sit down and kind of come up with a game plan on where we think, and then present that to y'all at a work session. And the easiest way to go about it is just go line by line together as a group.
Just on the appropriations?
Just on the appropriations, so we know that's a pretty large piece of the overall budget. But there's obviously a lot of agencies involved, and
there's probably obviously a lot of different opinions.
5 different opinions, and it's not
6.
It's
7.
not feasible for me to go through each one of you and then try to, you know, round the horses together. So it's best if we just get a work session together where we all just sit down and hash it out, and that way I know.
Down the road, or we need to do that soon?
Somewhat sooner than later.
Give us a time
Preferably.
frame. Week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, is that good?
I don't know which one, a week or 2 weeks.
Well, I got eyes rolled at me for 2 weeks, so.
3, 4.
Yeah, we'll just
3, 4.
regroup on that.
We'll talk about it Monday.
Y'all have fun.
You'll be here?